Hey folks, Kostya here, and in this video I'm going to be presenting two separate calculation exercises. These were clipped from a recent stream where I was going over some games from my latest tournaments. And yeah, I thought the following moments were quite interesting. So there'll be two separate positions, and I'll give you a brief intro for each one, kind of letting you know what I was thinking about things going in. And then I will invite you folks at a certain point to pause the video and treat the position as a deep calculation exercise. It's actually a series we started on this channel a little while ago that some of you may remember and was pretty popular. So now here we are again, continuing it and having some more positions that I think could be useful to test your skills. So watch the video, wait for the moment to pause. At that point, pause. I'd encourage you to spend at least 10 minutes really calculating and thinking about the position. Try to find the best line of play for it'll be White's move in both cases, and see if you can reach any kind of objective conclusions in your calculation. Afterwards, I'll share what I was thinking about the position and also what the engine, of course, thought as well. And then you can compare what you were thinking with what I saw and, of course, what the computer thought as well and see how you did. All right, so with that, let's get into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave us a thumbs up if you are appreciating the content. It really does help us out a lot. So thank you for that. All right, enjoy the video. And yeah, here I play h5 and black goes f6, which he, at this point, I think kind of has to, because I'm threatening to come in with queen h6 or to take first and then play queen h6. So yeah, after h5, f6, pretty much forced. Okay, and this is actually, I thought, quite a critical moment, because if I play bishop f4 here, or if I just pull the bishop back, then I figured black is going to try to play g5 and close up the king side. And of course, I immediately was trying to make this kind of sacrifice work, but it didn't seem like there was going to be enough here for white. Black could play king f7, for example, and then run with the king. And yeah, I didn't see white's attack here being successful. So I didn't want to pull back, or at least I would play like bishop g3 or something if I was going to do this. And then after g5, okay, I think still the position is very, very playable. Black's king side is getting weakened, and I can look for some d5, some e5, just try to open stuff up in the future. But I also realized that, I have this option to go hg first. And so by taking first, I, open the h file and leave black's king wide open for the rest of the game, or at least more open for the rest of the game. But of course, on hg, black is able to take the bishop on e5, and then that's kind of a piece sacrifice. Actually, it's a good time to pause. I mean, for the Twitch audience, I'm just going to show you guys what I looked at. But for the YouTube audience, if you're watching this, you want a good calculation exercise, pause the video here and try to figure out if you can make h takes g6 work, or see if you can figure out what exactly is going to happen after this. Okay, so yeah, I'll show you guys what I calculated here, because I ended up spending, I think, my longest think here. I think I spent like 20 minutes on this because it was really quite unclear. So after hg, once again, if black were to recapture, then I'm not worried about this. I mean, there's queen h6 here as an interesting option, with the idea like take on g6, and then black just gets mated here on the h file. But on queen h6, of course, black can go queen f7 and defend this way. And then I have to move my bishop, and black will go queen g7. And if we trade queens, then I don't think white has any advantage at all in that position. It's just going to be opposite color bishop endgame with equal material. So, but other than queen h6, then okay, I can just drop back, and then I'm happy that I weakened the king side. Black doesn't get g5 in. But anyway, of course, critical was like, well, what if black takes the piece? And this is what I was spending all my time on. And so let me show you guys what I was thinking here. So first thing I checked, I think, was g takes h7. But then after king h8 here, I did not think this was going to be successful for white, because the queen is coming back to f7 and just defending everything. But then I realized I can play queen h6 in this position, threatening mates. And then once again, if hg queen takes, then the king just gets mated here. This is just resigns. So I quickly realized after queen h6, black's only move in this position to defend would be e6, using the rook. But the nice thing about e6 is that it actually blocks off the queen on c4. And this is what got me very excited about this sack, because now this queen is like totally off sides. And actually, first move I looked at here was d takes e5, with the idea of rook takes d1, queen takes h7, checkmate. But here after rook g7, I wasn't quite able to get the attack to work. I can take on h7 and give checks, but rook g7, actually I think black defends everything and is fine. So d5 wasn't working, but then I found I can play this move rook e3. Again, this is all just, still in my calculation. And the first thing I thought of here was like if rook g7, and this is what really made me just very excited about all these lines, is I can take on h7. Rook takes, I think, is immediately bad because of rook g3 check, and black is losing one of their rooks and getting mated. So takes, king h8. Then I have this really strong move, I thought, rook to g3. Where once again, I'm using some in-between tricks. So if rook takes, I take here with check, and then I get the rook back and up in exchange and totally winning. So I was thinking black would play maybe this one, or the other rook to f7, also possible. But yeah, my idea here was that I can just take on e5. Okay, I'm down a piece, but black's queen and bishop are just totally off sides, and now the threat is rook g8 check, which would force taking, king takes g8, and then rook d8 mate check at the end, and followed by mate. And yeah, actually I didn't see a way for black to defend against, like bishop c6 doesn't really help, white's just coming in and delivering mate. And okay, I was thinking maybe bishop d5 is like black's only move to just give the piece back and hope to survive. But this, I don't think, I don't think black survives here. There are other ways of winning here as well, but I'm just showing you guys what I calculated. But I think this move is even stronger, like queen g5 or queen g6, and then just playing for all these mates as well. But okay, in my calculation, I saw this, and I thought this is definitely good enough. So after rook e3, I was thinking maybe hg now. And again, if I take here, then rook g7, I didn't see white's attack breaking through. So instead, my main line of calculation went rook h3 here, which, looks very scary. I want to go queen h8 check, followed by rook f3. So if rook g7, for example, then this and rook f3 just wins on the spot. Black loses everything. But black does have this move, bishop takes e4. And this is why I was spending so much time, because actually, like, as I was calculating this, I just felt like this was all forced, because there's, I take on g6, black takes here, I go queen h6. And it was a very real possibility, he's just going to take the piece and try to defend, right? I thought, okay, e6 only move. I want to go rook e3. The threat of rook g3 here is really strong, or taking in rook g3 is super strong. So I thought black has to take. Now rook h3 looked like the only way to play for mates. And now bishop takes e4, defending g6. And yeah, I thought like, well, if I don't have mate here, then I'm just going to be down a piece, right? I can't do. So I kept calculating. I saw that I can go queen h8, king f7, take on e5, and hitting the bishop, also looking for rook h7. So I kept going. I thought, okay, queen d5 looks like the most logical, defending and trying to trade queens. And then, yeah, I was looking at this position, like rook h7, king e8 forced, queen b8 check, rook d8, queen takes a7. And yeah, I was trying to figure out like this position from afar. It looks crazy. Like we're threatening mate in one, but black's still up a piece. The king is on e8. And yeah, I had no idea what's happening here. I thought like, feels like white should have enough, but I really wasn't sure. But minimum, I thought like, okay, if rook d7, then I can give check at least. And then after rook d8, I can repeat, or maybe I can keep the game going with queen takes b6. If I reach this position and I felt like, okay, white is should be playing for the win here, I have a strong attack, then I have this option to just keep the game going, keep the queens on, yeah, keep things very, very dangerous for black's king. And ultimately, I wasn't too sure of the eval here. So my thinking was that everything loses for black except this line. Like everything else I looked at is just totally lost. But this one line, like maybe black is surviving. But even here, I thought like, it looks like there's decent play. And okay, once I reached this, I'd already spent like 20 minutes calculating. I decided to take on g6. I mean, I wasn't sure. Like, I really wasn't sure. And I was definitely considering just pulling back. But at this point, it was like kind of a sunk cost kind of thing. Because I'd spent so much time on hg to then just play like bishop g3 after giving up, big time advantage. Like, because I had like, 50 minutes. And then I spent like 20 here to go down to like 30. When he was already down there. And so I just felt like, all right, I spent so much time. It looks like most of the lines are working for white. So I felt like I had to risk it and take. And yeah, so I took, and he spent, I think, a few minutes here. He was definitely thinking about it. And eventually he just takes on g6. He just takes back. So he doesn't take the piece. And yeah, I was more or less expecting this. I kind of thought like this one just looks so murky. It looks so risky for black. It looks like he's about to get mated. It felt really unlikely. Just kind of, I don't know, being somewhat familiar with my opponent's style. Like he's a pretty solid player. Like I don't think he loves having his king under heavy fire. I think most players don't, right? So yeah, my intuition was that he would just recapture and the game would keep going, but I still felt like I had to spend all this time and make sure that I'm not just going to be down a piece here. Okay, afterwards, obviously, I checked this all with the engine. To my surprise, my calculation was pretty close. Like, it turns out, yeah, like this was the absolute only way for black to survive. And all this is more or less forced. And then at this point, I did misevaluate things. It turns out black is better. Actually, the move queen d6, which, okay, from afar, like this point where, almost like a 10 move calculation. Yeah, I didn't see this move. But apparently black is holding on here. Black is better. In computer terms, it's like -1, 1.2, which is not that a lot given that black is up a piece. So yeah, objectively, I think it was, not right to allow this, but yeah, look at how many only moves black has to find to make this work. So kind of interesting moment. So that's the answer for anyone that, paused the video on YouTube, was trying to figure out like, what's the evaluation. Eval is actually that objectively it's better for black if they find all the right moves. But yeah, in practice, of course, that's not easy to do. Queen g3. I thought was a lot stronger. And now because his rook is hanging, he doesn't have time. So he tried rook to g7, which makes a lot of sense because I can pull my bishop back and give a check, but then he's going to move his king out of the way. And then he's still trying to hit g2, right? So he's getting some counterplay. Okay, at this point I realized like, all right, this is very critical moment. I have, I think like, yeah, like something like 5-6 minutes here. Or maybe I had a few more minutes, but I ended up spending a lot of time calculating right at this moment because I just felt like this was very, very critical. Actually, this would be another great calculation exercise, especially for YouTube. If you're watching this video, you want to pause white to play. It looks like white should be winning, but how exactly to finish it off? Okay, so first I should say white does have some safer options. In fact, maybe the most practical move here would have been bishop d2 check, where I block the rook on the second rank, and then game just continues. If king f7, there's rook e7, and white is winning this one. And if king h7, then I can play like queen h4, maybe take this one. And this looks winning for white. I don't think black has enough. The king is way too open. But it wasn't quite forcing enough. And of course I realized like bishop takes f6. This has to be the move. Like just open up the king, and play for mate. But it's actually, white has to be very precise here. I was really happy. I felt like I calculated it out to the absolute finish. Yeah, I remember thinking during the game, like this is just a puzzle rush. Like this is just classic puzzle rush. It's just, there's clearly a tactic here, and now it's just time to sit down and find it. But again, I didn't have a lot of time, like under 10 minutes, so it was kind of a stressful situation. But yeah, I'll show you guys what I calculated. So I realized takes. Now we have a lot of checks, but I think queen d6 is the strongest. It actually might be, I think, the only way to win. Where, okay, if the king comes up the board, then rook e5, that's, of course, this kind of thing, always leading to mate. No way black survives this. So king f7, rook e7 check, and now king g8. And so here things are not so simple, because my first thought was queen d8, king h7. And I would like to take stuff, but I can't, because g2 is hanging. And if I take on g7 with check and then take the bishop, well, the rook on d1 is still hanging. So actually, I'm not in time. So I was calculating this position, and I was trying to make this work, and I was looking at moves like rook e1 here. Because a lot of times you just need to get the last piece into the game and it's over. I mean, the king is just so exposed. But I couldn't find a win after rook a1, pinning the rook and not letting my rook enter the attack. And so intuitively I felt like, well, if my rook can't enter, then there's no mate here, because I just have the queen. So this wasn't working, actually. And yeah, I almost gave up on the line, right? And then went back, because I was trying to figure out like what to do, right? Because, okay, I take, king takes, queen d6, king f7, rook e7 check. I mean, what else, right? We have to play for mate, king g8. And yeah, like rook takes g7, this just doesn't seem to be working. I think if my king was on h2 here, and I could play rook e1 in this position, and then rook a1 is not pinning, then I think that looks completely winning for white. I don't think black defends, but what to do? I'm just too slow. So finally, I buckled down, and I spotted queen d5, which I was really happy about, because I don't think this is an easy move to see in the calculation. It's also the only winning move for white. So the point is the king lacks squares. If king f8, then queen d8 is game over. And after the king goes to the h-file, then there's queen h5 check, king back to g8, and I have rook e8. And then there's the mate. Black has to give up the queen. Queen takes, king h7, and I almost stopped calculating here, but I didn't, because I saw, like, if queen takes bishop, black still has a draw with rook takes g2 on the second rank, right? Just a perpetual. But I looked a little bit further. I saw I can go queen h5 check back. King is forced to go to g8, and then I have queen d5 at the end of the line, and picking up the rook on a2. It's not the only way to win at this point. I think g4 is also completely winning for white, because black doesn't have enough counterplay for the queen. King is too open. But I think queen d5 here is a nice way to end. So yeah. So once I saw this, then I took on f6. It's like, because then I just felt like, wow, that is just very, very, like, there's like no options. There's no doubt. It's just check all the way till the end. But yeah, I felt very happy to have found this, because actually, like, after takes, this is actually the only way to win. Like, from this position, like queen d6, rook e7, queen d5, like, only winning move here, with this nice geometry of queen h5 and rook e8. So I was, yeah, really, really happy to have found this. I don't know if it was necessary. I mean, again, bishop d2 maybe would have been just much more practical, where white doesn't really have to calculate that much, and can win, let's say, technically, like, because king is going to be too open. But no, it feels good to calculate the line out till the end and kind of finish, in this, like, executioner style. And then, yeah, we got to this point. I played queen h5 check, and black resigned, because, okay, he understood now, queen d5 is coming, and that's game over.